This is a continued discussion from the previous episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
So as we look to the future of what you're doing, really what's your vision? Where do you plan on taking General MRO in the next 5 years? And maybe what are some key components we haven't discussed? Maybe analytics or data. You're an IT guy, so maybe there's some technology that's coming that maybe you guys are going to do. Everybody's talking about AI and some other things. Is there something out there for you that really is going to give you guys a boost of juice here in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're looking at organic growth and organic efficiencies. So when I look at from a growth perspective, we're doing very, very well working with our airline customers and partnering to become strong partners in the industry with folks, both on the OEM side and the airline side, and along with integrators and brokers as well. We're seeing an uptick in business on a regular basis. But really focusing on internal efficiencies is the next piece of it, right? So as we grow, how do we support that growth internally to continue to make it so labor isn't a challenge or material isn't a challenge? How can we better utilize used serviceable material to reduce the cost of repairs and components for our customers? So those are some of the big pieces. And then, labor efficiencies. I think it'll be a theme this year at MRO like it was last year, and I think even the year before, is the availability of labor and good technicians. It's difficult on the airframe side. It's difficult with the airlines and the airports, and it's even more difficult on the component technician side. So one of the things that we would like to implement here over the next 5 years is a training center, a training facility for component technicians, in providing a route other than the traditional college or trade school that individuals have the opportunity to pursue today. But it's not necessarily an A&P license, right?
Right.
How do we get folks trained up to be component technicians and really bring those folks in and train them on the products and services that we do today? So that's on our horizon here, is help increase the available workforce that we have, and then after they come out of that training, provide good jobs for them
Yeah.
in long-lasting careers.
Yeah, that really is a great vision. And, I know as our MRO has been in business since 2010. And when our growth, I have the physical space, right? I have enough square footage. So I can make the space bigger, but finding the right technicians to come in and work on the next generation of thrust reversers and inlets and flight surfaces, that's hard. And our growth has been very much the same, where we got to bring them in and we do internal training and really try and train them. But that does limit the amount of speed at which you can grow your product, right? There's only so many man hours you have, and if you take $1 million thrust reverser and put a rookie on it, that's an expensive mistake if you aren't careful. So I really like the way you have that vision laid out, because I do think you're solving what's going to be a bigger problem in Miami. I have to train everybody in Kansas City because there are none. There's very few kids. We get the brightest and the best out of our Aviation Institute that's in Kansas City. We recruit them pretty early, but that's not a very big quantity of people we're feeding into our pipeline. And so a lot of it, again, is organic. But you guys being in Miami, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I think there's probably a lot of technicians you guys could bring through a training protocol like that.
Yeah, that's right. And not only training them, but training them correctly and getting them the expertise that they can get from very tenured employees that we have that can help mentor them and really give them what they need to have lasting careers. Drive that quality mindset through those individuals. And one of the other things you mentioned, Patrick, was technology. So technology we see is very important to us, right? I mean, if we look at the foundations, it's people, process, and technology that are really going to help us grow going forward. You get the right people. This is my philosophy. If you get the right people, you can get them to do anything. You put the right process in place, you could make anything repeatable. And then you put the right technology in place and you can make that go even faster. So from a technology perspective, we're constantly looking at ways that we can use AI, machine learning, those type of techniques to not only model what types of parts we're going to need in the repairs going forward with our forecast, but also where we can get them. with the least cost or the highest availability. So what we're seeing is, there's a certain group of parts that are consistently used in many different places around the industry. So whether you're tearing down a 777 or you're tearing down a 37, there may be complementary parts that we can get from one platform or another, and even at the piece part level. So, solenoids, servo valves, uh, rod ends, those types of things. So all of that in place, certainly make sure that they're, from a quality perspective, you can use them. They're the right part numbers, the right generation, all of those things, but seeing where we can get them in quantity to support the forecast that we have.
Yeah, that's great. It's very hard sometimes when you're in the trenches. I grew up in the business, kind of doing every job from the bottom up, um, and sometimes you get so stuck in doing things just in the systems and the processes and the technology you have, you kind of lose sight of the fact you need to have that vision to see it. My brother is our chairman, and he did a very nice job. Uh, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 years ago, of saying, "Hey, we really need to start capitalizing on all the data that we have," and really brought a team in and built a team that could handle analysis for us. And they took the analysis from being one part at a time to as many parts as you want to the entire IPC off of an aircraft. And it's been amazing for us and really helped us grow, because when you have to do it one at a time and you got millions of pieces, you've really got to understand the machine can do it much quicker. And it's been a really good boost for how we've grown. Um, you had mentioned that you guys expanded. You've got an office in Antalya, Turkey. Yes. What was the other office you mentioned, international office?
Istanbul, and then one in Honduras.
One in Honduras. We're very lucky in this business to get to travel. I assume you've been to all of those places?
Not quite all of them yet, but
Okay.
working on that over the next year.
All right. Well, I would encourage you. I've not been to Honduras, but I have been to Istanbul and Antalya. They're great cities, and there's some wonderful history in both of those places. So I encourage you to take a couple of days to yourself, because you'll have some amazing adventures in both places. And the Turkish people were so polite and great to be around. I really enjoyed it. We opened a remote office in Istanbul a year ago, and it's been a good help. Although we're not, it's really just a sales office, right? But that's been really good for us, and certainly hope that the growth continues for us in international space as well. Now, deviate a little bit. I ask all of my podcast guests what their favorite aircraft is, and everybody has a little bit different answer for different reasons. But Jonathan, what would you say? What's your first blush of what your favorite aircraft is?
Oh, geez, Patrick, that's a good question. I would have to say the 787 is certainly my favorite aircraft. Doing a lot of work on that for the last 10 years of my career. I've got to work with Boeing in the past on that aircraft as well, and solving some of the problems and challenges that they've had. But I've been fortunate, as you mentioned, to travel on a number of 787s, from ANA to Japan Airlines to Qatar, Etihad, Scoop, Singapore. So all wonderful experiences on that air. United as well. All great experiences on that aircraft. It's just absolutely incredible. The way you feel when you get off the aircraft, the way you feel when you get on the aircraft, all the new interiors that folks have really customized are just tremendous.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever saw one in person. I was at the Sky Club at LAX, and 787 was taking off, and we could see it in the distance taking off, and the wings flexing. And I kind of didn't understand the story. It was very early in that 787 after they launched. And so a colleague of mine's like, "Check out the wings. You got to see this." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it literally distorts the aircraft. I don't know how to describe it for people other than you got to go see the videos online, but it is really cool what the aircraft allows it to do. It's a great visual. I thought, man, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The engineering side of the house is in aviation is pretty cool. What they're able to get accomplished, and I would agree with you that flying on the 787 is an amazing thing. I've done it a couple of times. As an aftermarket guy, I'm very excited to get my hands on my first A380 and get in there and tear it down. And I promise you, I will take my suit off and put on my jeans and my T-shirt and go out there with the boys and put some wrenches to it, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'd love to come out there with you, because
Absolutely.
I would say that would be my second favorite aircraft, is the A380. what an incredible engineering feat that is. And just the comfort, and fortunately there's still going to be some operators, but it was a sad time during COVID when you started to see those aircraft go to the wayside.
Yeah.
And very happy to see it come back. I think Emirates is going to be a great operator of those going forward, and hopefully we see a very strong aftermarket in that as well.
We've got a couple of A380s in Mojave in process, and it's been a difficult model of aircraft to support compared to the 777s. And some of the other wide bodies. The marketplace that serves those, the MROs and the OEMs that service the components and things, it's such a small marketplace that it's been very difficult to try and be a great customer support person because they've locked out that market on a lot of those products, and you don't really have too many choices. Unlike the 737s that General MRO is working on those components, there's competition out there, which means there's some ability to have some price savings because you guys are salvaging maybe some component level items that the OEMs don't. And the A380 has been a completely different, behaves differently, and that's really what's made it change kind of how we look at how to service that market. Truly, the best partnerships for us there have been with the airlines, because they're the ones looking for us saying, hey, can you do this like you do our 777 parts? And we're like, no, can't quite do it the same. The OEM won't let us, but we'll find a way with you. And that customer alignment's been really good for us. Well, listen, we're going to wrap up here. Jonathan, is there anything else that maybe you want to talk about, or something exciting that's going on, or maybe just a great story about something that happened in your career that you'd like to tell the folks?
Well, Patrick, thank you certainly for having me. Absolutely, it's been a pleasure to spend the time here, and really look forward to continuing the relationship we have with Jet Midwest, and really working with you to support such a great industry we have here. I really don't have a story for you,
But does your grandfather? So your grandfather started at Moog,
yes.
and I'm sure he's got a story that he's told you that back in the cowboy days of aviation, he's got to have something good in there.
Yeah, so I could say one of the things that he really enjoyed from his career was the people. The people that worked in the industry. He never worked directly with the airlines specifically, but he worked, manufacturing servo valves, and supporting the manufacturer of servo valves in our East Aurora, the Moog East Aurora location. He really enjoyed the people at Moog. I remember him telling me stories of them going out and cooking Italian sausage and Polish sausage on Saturday mornings after they all came in and worked overtime. So that was something that he really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's cool. One of my grandfathers worked at Boeing on the factory line.
Oh, wow.
They would sell beer out of the trunk of their car during Prohibition. There's further parts of that story that I won't share here. I'll save that for maybe another episode. But let's say he got in a little bit of trouble for selling beer out of the trunk of his car in the parking lot there at Boeing.
Oh, man. Well, Patrick, one thing I will share about you is one of the most incredible experiences that I had being in aviation is prior to the launch of 787, we were doing a factory tour, and we actually got to climb through some of the airplanes on the manufacturing floor at Boeing, and see where the components were, and they just had started to put them together along that manufacturing line, and being able to get inside the aircraft as they manufacture was pretty special.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and then going to I also had the opportunity to go down to Charleston and see on a Boeing tour, see how they make the carbon fiber fuselage, which is just absolutely an incredible process.
I'd like to see that someday.
Yeah, hopefully you get the opportunity.
I hope so. So, folks, I'd like to say thank you to Jonathan from General MRO. We appreciate him sharing his story and his thoughts on the aviation marketplace. I'm excited to see where you're headed, Jonathan. And all you Nose to Tail podcast listeners out there, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.